before the meeting. There are many questions to ask before a meeting. If you are curious about what the meeting will cover, you will need to ask the organizer of the meeting. You can also ask things like how long the meeting will take and who is coming to the meeting. Let's try a couple of these sentences. Hi, Jack. Do you know who is coming to your meeting at 2 o'clock? Who all did you invite to the triage meeting? Hi, Jack. How long do you think the meeting will be? I have to schedule another appointment at 4, but I don't want it to overlap with yours. How long is the meeting going to be? Is the meeting going to be more than an hour? What time was the meeting again? When are you going to make that presentation? I thought it was today. Here are common statements people use when they can't attend a meeting. I have another appointment that conflicts with your meeting. I will not be able to make it. I have another meeting that I cannot miss. I won't be able to make yours. I won't be able to go to the 3 o'clock meeting. I have another appointment at the same time. I can't go to the meeting at 4 o'clock. I have a doctor's appointment. Can you take notes for me? I'm going to be out of town tomorrow, so I won't be able to attend the quarterly meeting. Can you send me a mail on the topics that were discussed? Canceling a meeting. If you were the meeting organizer, then there are times when you have to cancel a meeting. Here are some sentences you can use for this situation. There are 4 people who will not be able to attend the meeting tomorrow. I'm going to reschedule the meeting to a more convenient time. The director asked that we postpone the finance meeting until the quarterly report comes out. So I'll send an update with a new date and time later this week. Some meetings are weekly meetings that occur at the same time. It is common that these meetings are canceled when there is nothing to talk about. There is nothing new to discuss this week, so we are going to cancel this week's agenda meeting. I am running late this morning. Let's postpone the meeting until the afternoon. I can't make it in tomorrow, so let's cancel this week's meeting. I'll email everyone if something new comes up. During the meeting. If you have to talk in a meeting, there are 3 general reasons. You might have to ask a question, state your opinion, or you will have to ask for clarity on something you didn't understand. Let's see some of these sentences. Raising a question. Depending on the type of meeting, you might have to wait for the meeting to end before asking a question. You might have to raise your hand to ask a question, or you can simply ask a question anytime. I'll give an example on each of these. If you are in a type of meeting where you can ask a question at any time, then you can say this. I have a question. Why is marketing not handling the portion on end user analysis? They usually did this work in the past. How will the new addition to our project affect the deadline that we have? Are we making sure to incorporate user feedback on the changes we are making? Stating your opinion. Basically, you can ask any questions. There is no specific way to do it. This is the same way when you are talking about your opinion. Someone might ask what you think about the idea or situation. You will simply speak your answer. I agree with Mark. The correct approach is to send out the tools to our partners before making it public to everyone. In my opinion, I think we should introduce our new line of printers in August. Many companies get more funding at this time, and students are school shopping. Our target market will be more responsive to our ads during this time period. I think we can go either way. I believe both solutions will take care of it. Asking for clarity. Asking for clarity is similar to asking a question. The only difference is that they already answered it and you don't understand. So you should state exactly what you don't know or ask for clarity on a specific part of the question. I didn't understand why we are going to be late. I thought we had everything planned out early. What were the reasons again? Can you elaborate on how this process can help the sales department? Can you clarify the second step in your solution proposal? I don't understand why it is necessary. After the meeting. It is common to talk about meetings afterwards. Sometimes it is to say how useless it was or that you were bored. But there are times when someone might ask you for feedback. Other times, you might want feedback if you were the person holding the meeting. Let's cover these here. Asking for feedback. What did you think about my presentation? Did you think the meeting went okay? Can you provide feedback on the meeting we just had? Did you find the meeting useful? Did the meeting help to clarify the current situation? Is there any part of our discussion during the meeting that you are still unsure about? Providing feedback. Even if you think the meeting was boring and useless, you can't say that unless you are talking to a close friend. Many times in the office, you have to give a professional answer. I thought the presentation went well. You provided great information, and I think everyone was impressed. The meeting went well. We covered a lot of information and made some important decisions. The whole presentation went pretty well, but next time, I would recommend that you talk a little slower. When we were running out of time, you started speaking too fast, and it was hard to keep up. Most of the time, our weekly meeting is pretty dull, but today was quite useful. I understand what is happening to our project now, but I'm still unclear about exactly who is affected by this change. General statements. I have to go. I have a meeting I'm late for. I have to go to a meeting now. I'll talk to you later. I forgot about my 1 o'clock meeting. I don't have much time for lunch. I'll finish the feedback form after my meeting. I'll be in meetings all day today. I have 5 meetings today, so I won't have time to help you with this now. Let's set up a time for tomorrow. The meeting went an hour over. The meeting was canceled. The meeting started 15 minutes late. George didn't arrive to the meeting on time. We finished late because John had problems with his computer during the presentation portion of the meeting. Are you going to the company meeting next week? Can you set up a meeting for a brainstorm session? My calendar looks pretty clear on Thursday. Set up a meeting for that day. If you have a close friend in the office, then you can speak more candidly. Here are some general statements you can make about meetings, but be careful who you say them to. I hate meetings. I think they are a waste of time. I'm an engineer, not a planner. I don't know why I have to go to those meetings. I never learn anything from them, and I never say a thing. I can't believe our weekly meeting is at 6 o'clock in the morning. I hate waking up that early. If I skip that meeting, I wonder if anyone will notice. That meeting was hilarious. I can't believe the manager forgot John's name. I get so sleepy at meetings. I almost fell asleep during that meeting. I had a hard time keeping myself from laughing. I saw you falling asleep during the meeting. Explanations and presentations, general. This lesson will give some guidelines on how to explain something and how to speak during presentations. Because I cannot be specific to every topic, I'll choose general ones. You should primarily be looking at the structure and style for this business English lesson. It is understandable if you feel nervous or uneasy about having to explain something in English. Because English is not your first language, it is very difficult. However, in the office, you will be in many situations when you have to explain something. Here are 3 tips to make your explanation or presentation easier. First, you should not talk fast. I work in a large company with many different people from all over the world. The hardest time I have when listening to someone is when they talk fast with a bad accent. The problem they have is that they are fluent and comfortable speaking English, but they do not realize how bad their accent is. If you speak slower, you can avoid this problem. Unless you are certain that your accent is understandable, always speak a little slower. Second, you should speak clearly. Say each word clearly and emphasize the important words. If they don't understand every word in your sentence, they will understand the whole meaning with proper emphasis. Third, prepare and practice ahead of time. You should record yourself and listen to the recording. You should also get an American friend to judge you. This is a lot of work you have to do in the beginning, but this is very important. Even though it will make your presentation or explanation clearer and better, that is not the reason I am saying you should do the recording and getting a friend to listen. The reason why this is so important is because you are laying the foundation on proper communication in regards to intonation and pronunciation. For example, if you don't do this, you might think you don't have a problem and you will continue to practice incorrectly. Soon, you will be someone who can talk fast but have terrible pronunciation. You will become the type of people I described, hard to understand. If you take the time to practice for several hours before each presentation, you will be practicing the correct way to enhance your English abilities. Explanation. The third step above is primarily for presentations. When you have to give an explanation, you might not have time to prepare for it. If someone asks you a question, you can't tell them that you will need 2 hours to prepare before answering. However, if it is work-related, you have the ability to anticipate questions ahead of time. Think of your area of expertise and list many questions you have heard from coworkers or friends. If you speak in your own language, you know exactly how to say it without preparing for it. But in English, you don't know where to begin. List all your answers out and learn how to say it in English. If you do this, then anytime you get asked a question about your area, you can quickly respond. Here is an example with more tips. Can you explain the process of selling a house and the cost associated with it? You can either sell the house by yourself or get an agent. Since most of the people use an agent, I will explain that. The first thing you need to do is find a seller's agent. The agent will list your house on the market. After the house is on the market, people who are looking to buy a house will find a buyer's agent. The buyer's agent looks through the list of houses for sale posted by the seller's agent. The buyer's agent shows your house to potential buyers. When someone makes an offer, the buyer's agent will let the seller's agent know about the price that the buyer has offered. After everyone agrees, the house is sold. The price associated with selling a house is based on commission. The seller's agent will get an average of 2.5% of the selling price, and the buyer's agent will get 2.5% as well. If the price of the house was $300,000, then each agent will get $7,500, costing you a total of $15,000. Your first reaction might be, when am I ever going to be able to say all this at one time? But it is much easier than you think. I'll explain further. We have someone asking about selling a house or something. We have to explain the process. Even if you don't know the process of selling a house in America, you can use the same guideline for your area of expertise. If you can say each sentence individually, then you can say all of them put together. I start by saying there are a couple of ways to sell a house. Then the example says you will explain the more common process. From here, it is basically listing steps. Number 1. The first thing you need to do is find a seller's agent. Number 2. The agent will list your house on the market. Number 3. After the house is on the market, people who are looking to buy a house will find a buyer's agent. Number 4. The buyer's agent looks through the list of houses for sale posted by the seller's agent. Number 5. The buyer's agent shows your house to potential buyers. Number 6. When someone makes an offer, the buyer's agent will let the seller's agent know about the price that the buyer has offered. Number 7. After everyone agrees, the house is sold. Number 8. The price associated with selling a house is based on commission. Number 9. The seller's agent will get an average of 2.5% of the selling price, and the buyer's agent will get 2.5% as well. Number 10. If the price of the house was $300,000, then each agent will get $7,500, costing you a total of $15,000. This list seems pretty simple now. Each sentence is relatively short. There is no difference between the long paragraph and the listed out items. Both contain the same words. All I did was put them together. Finally, if you feel that you cannot create these sentences even in a list form, use an example that you are familiar with. I'm sure you will have an easy time creating a list if the topic is in your area of expertise. I recommend listening to the paragraph again, but this time, listen to the speed I talk. Also, listen to the pauses after each sentence. Notice that I don't have unnecessary words like and, moreover, furthermore, afterwards, and so on. These are good words, but you don't need them that much when you are explaining something verbally. Using pauses between sentences and speaking clearly and slowly is the best way to communicate an explanation. Presentation. Presentations are longer than an explanation, but it is easier in the sense that you have time to prepare for it. The biggest mistake I have seen is that people do not use short, simple sentences. Many of the best presentations from English speakers I have seen are those who use simple sentences that are easy to understand. Remember that a long paragraph can consist of 10 short sentences. It is still effective and much easier to say. Many times, a person will be using a presentation software like PowerPoint. If that is the case, then you should prepare your slides and a separate document with your sentences for each slide. You shouldn't read them, but at least it is there just in case you forget to mention something. Use it as a preparation material before the presentation and reference during the presentation. Each sentence should be step by step, explaining the content on the slide. I am not going to be giving an example because preparations are all different depending on the subject. But keep in mind the process I explained on the house selling example. Keep the sentences short, speak slowly and clearly, put emphasis on key words, and leave a short pause after each sentence. There are many times when you will have to explain something. Here are some questions you might hear. What did you do this week? What are you going to do next week? What is your schedule like for the next 2 weeks? Can you explain how to perform an evaluation for a partner feedback? How do I perform a refund for a credit card purchase? There are numerous questions like these you might run into. To answer all of them, just follow the list example. This week, I finished the analysis on Ford Motor. I started writing a report on international market penetration, and I showed our new employee how to use our software. This example is very simple. It is basically a list of 3 things. You don't need to include any words in between. You can use this same style of answer for many different types of questions. Next week, I have to finish my report, research information on GM Motors, and make a presentation on our market strategy. To perform a feedback on a partner, you need to specify who the partner is, what project they worked on, the outcome of the project, where they need to improve, and finally, what they did well. On the credit card machine, press the refund button. Then type in the credit card number and press enter. Type in the amount and press enter. That's all you need to do. Whenever you are giving an explanation, remember the easiest way to do it is by giving a list and putting them together. In order to be able to do this, you must know how to say keywords in your area of expertise. When you have to give a presentation, remember that preparing is the most important. As I said earlier, take the time on your first several presentations to record yourself and find a friend to listen to your presentation. Finally, let's review the 3 key steps you need to remember when giving an explanation or presentation. Don't talk fast. Even people with perfect English have this problem. Talking fast is not good when you are explaining something or giving a presentation. Talk clearly. Making the words in each sentence clear will help anyone to understand you better. Prepare and practice. This is the most important. As time goes on, you will realize how much your preparation will help you with your overall English skills.